VPR Radio. I don't know what y'all listening to, but where we at?
The experience today that I never experienced before, or I might learn from, is what makes life exciting and fun.
Yeah.
And I think these people will learn that at some point. It's just too bad they're wasting, you know, like the song said, it's too bad youth is wasted on the young.
Right, right. Amen to that.
I like that, VPR. The first time I've heard that, I like that, VPR.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Shirley Bassey song. I think it's called Love is Lovelier the Second Time Around. And there's that line, you know, youth is wasted on the young. I thought, ooh, go on, girl. I like that.
Yeah, that's clean.
It's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
So let's start from scratch, because not everyone has watched your first interview. They may be looking at your face and be like, he looks kind of familiar.
Who is that fool? Did you rob the bank or something? Yeah.
Tell us all about your acting career, and then I want to segue into your book that you've written and your award, the projects that you're working on now. Let's just get into it.
Excellent. Well, you know, again, coming back to what we were just talking about, I got my first job as a child. I just happened to be literally in the right place at the right time. 7 years old, and I was watching a film, TV show being shot, and they had lost a young actor. I to this day don't know what happened. And they, you know, came up talking to my uncle about it. Was this man an actor? This boy an actor? And I wasn't paying any attention. I was looking around and look at the horses. Wow, look at that. And then before I knew what was happening, I was in a makeup chair with a script in my hand. Fortunately, I approached it from the attitude of, I have no idea what's going on. I'm terrified, so I'm just going to open my eyes real big and keep my mouth shut because I don't know what's happening. So that was kind of my first experience. Well, not kind of. That was my first experience on a set of being in a position of, I need to be completely open to receive and learn whatever I can because I haven't the foggiest idea what I'm going to do. Well, it works because the character was a terrified young boy in a horrible situation. And the director was very patient. But that stayed with me, that sense of wonderment of discovery that allowed me to approach every role, or rather informed the way I approach every role, which is, it's not about what you think you know. It's about discovering what's going to happen that you didn't know. Which, if you think about it, that's how we live our lives most of the time. We all think we know what's going to happen in the next 15 minutes. You're going to ask me questions. I'm going to answer. I'm going to tell you how lovely you look, what an incredible voice you have, sir, and then all that kind of stuff, which we think we're in control of. Well, I'm in LA where there's a torrential rainstorm expected. What if my window breaks? The roof caves in. What if there's an earthquake where you are? All that, these things can happen. Well, stories are about these things happening. They're about people's lives being upset, and they have to figure out what to do next. So to me, that sense of wonderment is necessary to prepare you to tell a story.
That's a very mature approach, right? Especially from such a young man. Can I just go back a little bit further to expand as to where that kind of came from? Was like creativity and just like expansive learning. Is that something that was cultivated while you were young?
Yes, it was. I was brought up in a situation which probably would have my parents in jail today, in that I was left alone a lot. And that's our generation, that's what it is. I remember falling off my bike once and scraping the hell out of my knees, and there was nobody around to patch me up. Neighbors, my friend's mom came out of her house and took me home and patched me. I don't know where my parents were. So because of that, I played alone a lot, which activated my imagination. I would go outside. There was this like foresty area on the property, and I would imagine I'd see trolls or whatever. But I think that fostered the sense of, okay, I need to be open with a sense of wonder as to what's going to happen if I'm going to play successfully today. I never was one to stay in my house and play with my trucks or whatever toys were there. I always wanted to be outside, and I don't know why. It wasn't that the house was a horrible place to be. It's just I wanted to be outside. So I think that's what fostered that sense of, okay, I'm going to look at this plant today and I'm going to see something different than I saw yesterday. And that's going to inspire today's game of, I don't know, running from the Giants or whatever it might have been. I think that's where that happened.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
We don't have that anymore, Key.
Yeah.
You know, kids are one click away from everything, like we were talking about earlier in the show.
Yeah, exactly.
The imagination is shot.
Well,
You can't even think.
GPT to create a scenario with a forest and
they're creating movies within seconds now.
Exactly.
I just seen the thing that made the AI is now making full-on movies like Michael Bay.
Yeah.
Well,
one guy.
Tom Cruise fighting.
Right.
What? Somebody AI'd that, and which is very frightening.
Yeah.
You know, I told Yvonne, somebody's going to AI me in a pink evening gown or something.
And watch it go viral.
Exactly. Well, you should go buy one. But you know, they're good. You know, so and the
whatever
is,
gets the clicks these days, right?
Yo, seriously, like it does.
That's true. You know what? Whatever gets the clicks, which means people have no boundaries.
I know.
You know what? I anticipated this some years ago, and I still think, as horrible as this sounds, it's going to happen. Somebody's going to kill somebody and put it on their stream.
It's already happened.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
There's been mass. Been bad.
And maybe they have a mass.
Well,
that's true. It's happened in Minnesota.
Yeah. I mean,
there you go.
They go from one platform to another. Once you get banned, they move on to like Kick. If you get banned from Stream or Switch or whatever like that, you just go to that Kick.
There's
less
many.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's like
you could just get away with more bad content on that platform. It seems.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just. I mean, I think when we get to that point where we need to really pay attention.
Yeah.
You know, Rome lasted 1,000 years, but not 1,001.
Right.
So.
He's coming with the gems today.
Yeah, he's dropping bars.
Let's not
call me Tiffany.
Space. Let's jump back to you
Sure.
and your fantastic, illustrious career. So let's continue. So you were this little boy frightened in the chair. You went, played that role, and then how did you continue on?
Well, I realized there was a double-edged sword. As much as I enjoyed it, I didn't enjoy it because I was an extremely hyper child. Still am as an adult, but I mean, not to the degree I was. And I had learned that performing in front of the camera meant I had to be still. Well, I don't think I slept still when I was a kid, but I had to hold myself. So I liked the idea, but I never really liked acting as much till I became a teenager. And I realized one day, I'm just as hyper as I always was. I'm hyper inside. And so then I started to enjoy acting again because I can be screaming at the top of my lungs and doing a cartwheel inside. All I'm doing is holding myself still for the camera so the camera can see it. But my agreement with my parents was I could act in the summers, but I had to go to regular school. No on-set schooling. And I thought, okay, that's fine. So I would come out to California or New Mexico, which is where my uncle had a home base, and spend my summers there and work in the summers and go back, come out and work. And I worked, a fair amount as a kid. I was a cute kid, and they didn't require much of cute kids except or any kid, just be there and, say some cute little things. And it wasn't until I was working on the Waltons where one of the producers came up to me and said, we're having trouble because the show's been so successful now, we have to write storylines for the kids. Whereas before it was all about the adults, but it's been on X amount of years and people are getting tired of seeing grandma burn another pie. So, and none of the kids knew how to act because they weren't cast to act necessarily. They were cast just to be cute kids and to fit into a family unit. So her advice was, if you want to continue this, study. Learn what you're doing because you're not going to be a cute kid forever. And she said it in a very loving and supportive way. And I took it as, oh, that makes sense. So then I started to actually delve into it and study and look for teachers and mentors. And at that time, there really weren't many. No, I went to the university to major in theater, and then when I showed up, they told the head of the department said to me, "If you want to do TV and film, you know more about it than we do. All we know is stage. So, sorry, I can teach you how to deal with stage." True. So I thought, well, okay. So I just.
So can I ask you a question, just based on that experience? Have you done stage acting? And if so, do you find that there are a lot of like transferable similarities in the way that you'll, outside of obvious like dancing and having to project more, moving around a lot more?
There are a lot of similarities. There are a lot of differences. The only difference is the platform. Example, if I were filming you now and we decided, all right, what we want to do is I want to show that chair looks incredible. So I want to pull back and I want to see your whole chair. I'm going to see what kind of shoes you're wearing. I'm going to see what else is in the background. And I want people to get this larger view. If you were expressing yourself, you would have to express yourself a little more in a little larger manner for us to still get it. So the only difference is the platform. So what the similarities are, what's going on inside. What is the life experience of this character, and how is whatever is happening in the story affecting him or her? And when stuff affects us, it affects us to our very core. Now, once you identify that, that's the same. Now it's simply a matter of, okay, how much energy do I need to give to let the audience see that? In stage, they're however far away they are, the back row. Film and TV, the audience is as close as the frame. And still in film and TV, that comes into play. If you and I are doing a scene and you're across the room from me, but they're filming me like this, I have to act for that frame. I can't act for you who's across the room because the audience feels like they're this far from me. So that's something that I learned on my own. Nobody really taught us that. But, I've never heard that expression before, act for the frame. But I thought, well, that has to happen because I saw stuff that I was doing that wasn't good. I said, ooh, can't do that no more, So we have to always
dropping tidbits right now.
Oh, I know.
If you think about that, that's what we do in life. If you're having a conversation that's important to you, you're going to carry that conversation and carry yourself differently if you're sitting in a romantic restaurant, if you're at a ball game, if you're in bed together, or if you're outside on a windy day.
Right.
So we act for the frame, so to speak.
Yeah.
So
we should call that this episode "Act for the Frame."
Yeah, because VPR, I would have never conceptualized it like that.
You coined that. That's all you, Kev.
Yeah, I'm just like, there's someone out there watching that's going to pick up from that because I have to put that much thought to see that maybe the distance between and you really having to act like it and they're right there with the camera.
Yeah.
I didn't put one and two together, and just being in a different scene, you have to emote differently when it comes to your character. And I'm like, wow.
Well, remember,
you would know from here.
It's the director's medium. He or she is going to be telling a story. And when they're in the editing bay, they're going to decide how best to tell that story at any given point. Do I want to tell it in a more intimate way? Do I want to tell it in a more vivid way, shocking way? So they're going to take what pictures they want. If they really want to tell it in an intimate way, they're going to do a close-up to really get the audience involved, so involved that they can feel your breath, because that's what the director wants to use at that point in the story to convey the story. So then our job as actors is to understand, I've got to give the director something that will work in whatever frame they're using. Otherwise, if I just am focused on talking to Qiana, and she's across the room, and I'm really, you've got to believe me, I'm really trying to, this is important. Well, that's going to be fine for the people watching on the sides, but that's going to be, if it's an extreme close-up, they can't use that.
Right.
The audience is going to back away. So our job is to give them what they need in whatever frame. That's why I tell actors, your best friend's a cinematographer, not the director.
Right.
And you buy them a bottle of scotch.
Okay.
If you want to go far.
Yeah. They'll tell you the frame.
Right.
I was filming American Primeval to save, I don't know if to save time and money, but just the way they happened to film it, they had 2 and 3 cameras filming every scene.
Mm-hmm.
But each camera was getting a different shot.
Right.
And nobody told you. It was
Right.
my responsibility to say,
What's this?
What are you covering? And then to say to myself, okay, this take, I need to give a performance that's going to work for this camera who's in a close-up. This take, I need to give a performance that's going to work for the guy who's getting everything. Because the directors aren't going to tell you most of the time. They're too busy. They got a lot of other stuff. And actors complain, oh, everything I did got on the cutting room floor. Well, I don't think it's because they didn't like you. I think it's because you didn't give them enough options.
Wow, you should be teaching acting.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I do actually.
Okay.
I have time.
You should let them know on VPR. Yeah. They'll probably get some lessons from you.
I mean,
Qiana, it was scary. Qiana, it was scary watching him go into like just convincing you, saying,
yeah, just now, right?
I was just like,
it
took me aback. I was like, what the fuck?
Right into
this is scary VPR. I'm like, and I was believing. I'm almost like, hold on. If he wanted to lie, no one would ever know.
I'm like, tell me what it is.
Yeah, that's why I have to be careful when I go out in public. I have to have somebody say, Kev, because I'll get so involved in something. I had with a friend the other day. We're watching a movie, and I'm just, dude, bring it down. I said, I'm sorry. I'm just getting involved in the story so much, and I forget.
They've seen that serial killer side of you.
It is. You can see it.
They want you to relax your energy.
Especially if it's a story about kids or animals being abused. Yeah. It just works on me, and I have to remember it's a freaking story.
Right.
You know they're not really abusing. You've played those guys. Right. You didn't abuse them. But it still works on me. And I have to remember when I'm in public, I have to behave.
Yeah. Kevin, let me ask you.
Yes.
What's one thing about like the film industry that like fans romanticize, but like for actors, it's brutal?
They think everything is lovely. You get up at 10, you're picked up in the car, you're taken to the set. And they're with your hair, and they're getting your makeup, and you're in your trailer, and you got the clothes, and there's some cookies, and there's this.
There's no cookies?
Oh, that's true. But hey, getting up at 4 a.m. to be picked up at 6 by a car, to be taken to the airport, so then you can then fly someplace, and having to get everything all together. And showing up there, then living out of a hotel room, living out of a suitcase, showing up at your trailer. Okay, that's great. Makeup, hair and makeup, that's whatever. It is what it is. But then having new pages, new scripts thrown at you. When I went to New Mexico, they handed me 6 scripts in the car.
Wow.
Right. Because they just had been rewriting and rewriting and rewriting. So I thought, well, there's no going out dancing tonight.
Right.
So there's a lot
now
of
you
work.
gotta empty your brain out, right? How do you do that when you're having an intake of so much information? How do you like dump, okay, I just finished, because you're doing sometimes project after project, right? So this one is a wrap. How do I dump and extract the information that I had so I can get new input? Because your mind is
really good question. And that's a question I specifically asked when I was working with Mark Leonard, who played Spock's father in the Star Trek series. There were a bunch of younger actors in this show with him, and we were saying, God, it just gets kind of overwhelming. And his advice was, and I've taken it to this day, focus on what you're doing tomorrow. Understand what's going to be happening in the next week. If it's an episodic and you're shooting all week, or if it's a film, understand the story, but focus on what are you shooting tomorrow only. If you do more than that, you're exactly right. You will be overwhelmed. If I'm doing this show today and tomorrow I'm doing something else, and then next week I'm going to do something else, they're there in my mind, but go away. It's like, I'm going to put you in this room in my house. Right now, I'm in the kitchen, and I'm going to focus on cooking this dinner. Tomorrow, I'll open the door to the bedroom and focus on, okay, do I make the bed, whatever that show happens to be about. You have to do that. So when I had the 6 scripts, I realized, okay, I'll read them, but I'm really going to look at the call sheet and what am I doing tomorrow? And I'll read them for information, but I will focus on what I'm going to do tomorrow only. Otherwise, you'll go crazy.
That's great analytical thinking, I think, because it's just so much information, right? And that can definitely, especially
overload.
Thinker, it's an overload.
It'd be like you focusing on all the guests you were going to have,
right,
in a week or a month's worth of shows.
Listen,
all the time. You go, I don't know how you do it, because you have a lot. It's your job to me is extremely difficult because you don't know what I'm going to say.
Right.
You don't know what these guests. You may have an idea, but you don't know what your guests are going to do, and then you have to figure out, well, how do I make this interesting? What if you get a dud? What if somebody shows up and just says, "Hey,
we've had it."
It's a thing. You have to learn how to work through those moments as well.
It's true though, right? And I love what you said earlier. You dropped so many gems. Just about, your approach to thinking about, you don't know what's going to happen. So you kind of have to go with it, and you have to change. So yes, we have had guests like that. And it's like, okay, do you want to expound on that? Okay, let me pull because otherwise you're not going to say anything. Right? Usually you can ask a question and a guest will answer, and then they might continue a little bit. And then if they continue too much, then I can kind of reroute them or whatever the case may be, or, we'll jump back and forth with the questions. But when you have that, it can create a lot of quiet air.
Yeah, and everybody's saying, well, what's going on? And quiet air, I imagine, is the audience's cue to switch to another channel.
You know it.
Yeah.
So you don't want a lot of quiet air.
Especially today. Don't give them 2 seconds.
Really. Folks, stay tuned, because I might have vodka. I promise it's not. You can't see it is coffee.
I love it.
I know when we started up this show, Qiana said you've come across a new award.
Yeah.
It would surprise the hell out of me. It's a mystery I wrote called Murder Can Be Fatal, which was about a character who I plan on writing more with, this main character. And the publishers, I don't know, they submitted it someplace, and it won an International Impact Award, which is literary awards that focus on literature that, I guess if I'm quoting them correctly, has an impact on the reader.
Yeah.
Takes the reader someplace. It's not just, well, I shouldn't say it's not just light diversion, because that can have an impact too. But whoever the judges are, they decide which things that are submitted, fit the criterion for their awards. And I got a phone call saying, "Hey, congratulations on your award. We'd like to, do an interview with you about it." And I said, "Huh?"
Right.
I thought it was, at first I thought it was spam.
Right.
Spam with an interview?
Well,
they're like, "We just need to confirm your address and your payment information."
Yeah, exactly. What's your social? We want to send you all this money.
Absolutely.
So I didn't really answer until about 2 weeks later.
Wow.
I thought, I'll call and leave a message. And so I said, "Hi, it's Kevin Scott. I'm returning your call, blah, blah, blah." Didn't think about it. I was out walking my dog, and then they called back and said, "Hey, blah, blah, blah." I said, "Oh, okay. Pardon my ignorance. What is this award?" And they told me again. I thought, "Oh, okay, cool." So I called the publisher. He said, "Oh, yes. We submitted you, blah, 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 blah." So that's nice. And Yvonne, my publicist, was extremely happy about it. To me, awards, and I probably shouldn't say this, but it's like, I don't do something to get an award. Right. And just because I got an award doesn't mean that somebody else's book who didn't was not just as good.
That's right.
Same with acting. You know, to me, acting awards are kind of silly. It's all subjective. People like Timothée Chalamet. People hate Timothée Chalamet.
Right.
Depending on to whom you're speaking.
Yeah.
So, and it's the same with awards. I kind of also feel the same when somebody compliments me on the performance. I'll say, you know, thank you. I appreciate that. But I know there are people out there who didn't like it as well. So you can't get too full up about it. So, okay, whatever, you know. I appreciate it if it helps bring more work my way, if it affected somebody in a positive way, changed their life. And I think that's what we all do, changes people's lives.
Yeah.
Sometimes in micro ways, but it's still a change. To me, that's the greatest award.
Yeah.
Knowing I gave somebody something that enriched their life, even if it was only for 5 minutes.
That's right.
And I like that more than a piece of paper on the wall.
Yeah.
You know.
No, I get it. But at the same time, take your flowers.
Yes.
You know?
Oh, yeah. I'll take them and I'll bow. In fact, they're window.
Little, but I think you're completely right. And art as a whole, right, is just so subjective. Whether it's music, whether it's what you're looking at visually, you know, what you're looking at on television, right? Like art in a creative space, graphic art, it's about the user experience, and that is a very personal thing. So I do think it's hard to kind of carve that out and say, okay, the award is for this in particular, right? When it doesn't speak for everyone's experience.
Maybe somebody else had no impact. I tell my students who get all frustrated about auditions and getting roles and jobs, and I say, you know, Van Gogh was Van Gogh before he sold a single painting.
Yep.
And if somebody went into the gallery and they decided they wanted a Michelangelo, and for those young folks out there, these are artists who were well known, who painted. If somebody,
that's crazy. I have to do that now.
Somebody wants a Michelangelo, they're not going to buy a Van Gogh.
Right.
They're not going to buy a Picasso. Does that mean that Van Gogh and Picasso have no talent? No. It just means the person who wanted that didn't come into the store yet.
Exactly.
Look at your auditions that way.
Yeah.
You know, if you and I are auditioning for the same role and they want somebody beautiful, they ain't going to hire me. I don't care what's going on. Qiana, you got it hands down.
Well, thank you.
Just, I mean, but I know that's an extreme example, but it's actually the truth.
Right.
You have to be what they imagined in their mind when they were putting the show together. And so just do your best work.
VPR Radio with my girl Qiana and my DJ FMI.
Don't say